Next, we will be watching the infamous Eager Beavers and their custom B17 bombers, Old 66, by the Fat Electrician. Make sure to subscribe, like, and leave a comment in the doodly-doo. This was recorded live at twitch.tv/LuminusRed. Please come on over and help out. We are working towards making our path to partner successful and getting me partnered. So every single lurker, every single viewer, every single chatter helps immensely, more than you could know. So even if you can't stick around for all of stream, please just come on in, leave stream open in the background, mute the tab but not the video if you need to, and just help us all work towards getting me there. Until then, I've enjoyed what I've seen of the Fat Electrician, and I'm a Canadian myself, so Eager Beavers sounds kind of right up my alley. Also, I'm a lesbian, so you know the double entendre is not lost upon me.
This is a story of a B-17 pilot and a bombardier, two anti-heroes that become best friends and assemble their bombing crew out of a bunch of misfits that don't fit in anywhere else, and they become adamant on doing things their own way. So much so that the US government won't even give them a B-17 to fly. They then
really? Okay. So I legitimately thought that this was going to be about Canadian bomber pilots. I wasn't sure if those existed or not, but the fact that it was called the Eager Beavers, I immediately was like, okay, well, no, it's going to be freaking about Canadians, right? It's not, but that's okay. I'm very interested. Have I ever heard of the beaver tail pastry? It is really, really good. I would be fine with fish tacos, but I don't like the texture of fish. I like the flavor of fish, and I don't have a sense of smell, so the smell doesn't bother me or anything. But I don't like the texture of biting into fish, if cooked or raw. Sadly. But I don't know. Beaver tails. This was called my Lumi. What? What?
Their own.
Okay, let's find out
the most heavily decorated
what they're talking
air
about
crew in U.S. history. Today we're talking about Jay Zemer, Joe Sarnofsky, and their air crew, the Eager Beavers, the most decorated air crew in U.S. history, responsible for completing the most decorated mission in U.S. history, all while flying the most heavily armed bomber of World War II, Lucy, aka...
you're talking about a different type of fish taco. I love those. I mean, I've never had the pleasure of eating one, but... delicious sounding. Honestly, I'm gonna be very excited to enjoy one someday. Okay, but this video is already starting to sound like really interesting. Like, I mean, the underdog in like World War II always funds like, or World Wars in general, is always just like, I don't know, a fun story. It's just like, okay, the government was being idiots, but yet they took they took everything into their own hands. It's kind of like a buddy cop, like the renegade cop is like, I'll protect this city, but it's, I'll protect this nation. It's a really cool like one too, and especially when it's real and not just a joke. Like, it's not just like, I'm gonna joke, like a TV show or a movie, something like that. I forget how innocent Lumi actually is sometimes. Yeah, 87% on my Rise Purity score. Yay. God, I need a girlfriend.
666. This video is brought to you by Warwood Tool, makers of the original American entrenching tool from World War I. And while they're not making entrenching tools anymore, they are making sledgehammers and axes, and they're making them using the same drop hammer forging techniques that they used back in World War I, right out of West Virginia.
Wait. I want to make sure you can actually see his product code, so I've got to do this, otherwise I'm in the way.
If you need a tool for the rest of your life, check
it
out. This video
Give him
is
money.
brought to you by LAS Concealment. Full disclosure, I originally turned them down as a sponsor because I've done several holster making companies before, and I just think it's disingenuous to have a bunch of sponsors for the same type of product. So I said no. Despite that, they decided to send me a whole...
welcome in, the Crimson Dove. Finally get to enjoy my favorite VTuber on stream. Found you because you're acting Badger on YouTube and other videos, and you have definitely become the best VTuber I know. Aww. Thank you, Crimson Dove. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Well, welcome in. I hope you have a fun time here with us today. We're currently watching The Fat Electrician, but we have plenty of other things to watch too, so it's gonna be fun. I'm glad that you got in here. Let's do this.
Anyways, for free, and it actually ended up becoming my favorite holster and the only one
that actually looks pretty good
lately. So moving forward, they are going to be the only holster sponsor of the channel.
Wait. Can you get a holster for a toy of the adult variety? So you can just carry that thing around like a gunslinger, but it's like a schlong slinger, you know? You just pull it out, you spin it on a finger, point it at someone's like, stick them up. And you mean their legs. Is that a thing you can get? I should get that thing. I should walk around TwitchCon with one of those. Believe me. What is it, Argon? I said schlong slinger.
I wonder if I could get LAS to make me a holster for my sledgehammer.
Schlong slinger.
Anyways, back to the video. Starting off with our pilot and main character.
Sorry, I like saying Schlongschlinger.
Jay Zemer, born in 1918, grew up in Pennsylvania
Do it,
with a pretty
Alice.
wealthy family. For high school, he was sent to a military boarding school in Culver, Indiana. While there as a freshman, despite the school's policy on no students having vehicles, he managed to acquire a Willie Motor Company Whippet, the direct predecessor of the Jeep. And he managed to turn this thing into an absolute hot rod, better than it ever ran before, until the school finally found out that a student had a car, which was against the rules, so he had a disciplinary meeting with the dean. He goes
I'm doing good, Doc. Welcome in.
And he's like, look, I'm in the engineering program. I'm taking all the engineering classes. I want to go to school to be an engineer. I just rebuilt a motor, and I'm 14 years old. You guys should treat this as extra credit. To which the dean,
honestly.
being cool, is like, well, take me for a test drive, and we'll see. Takes the dean for a test drive. Dean has a great time. He ends up giving him extra credit and letting him keep the car the entire time he's at military boarding school.
Honestly,
so his grades were a little lackluster his freshman year because he was busy restoring a car. After that, he aced absolutely everything from sophomore to senior year. He goes on to apply to go to MIT to become a civil engineer. He gets rejected by MIT because his grades were lacking his freshman year. So he drives his Whippet.
Welcome in. Ironic slide. Welcome in. Hope you're having a great day. We're watching Proud Competition right now. Don't worry. Besteen, MIT is dumb. Yeah, no, freaking what? Oh, this is my favorite way you don't hold back from being down bad. Now you are. Yeah, I'm insane. Don't worry.
He rebuilt all the way to MIT, and he camps outside the admissions office for days until they agree to meet him. He then goes in and proceeds to persuade the head of admissions to let him into MIT.
Haven't, Dr. Spinner.
So he gets into MIT, goes on to become an engineer. While he's at college, he joins the ROTC program, which is like the pre-officer training program that they have at most colleges. While he's there, he ends up flying a plane, and he absolutely loves it. It is now his new goal in life to become a fighter pilot.
Okay, so I mean, who would have thought? Who would have thought? Someone who restores and builds their own engine and loves like driving a hot rod ends up loving playing with planes. Oh my gosh, that sounds so reductive. Yeah, no, this little boy played with his planes and he thought it was real fun, and so he wanted to go do the pew pew flies and in the wars. That's what I. What? Oh my gosh. But my whole point was like I can definitely see that the same type of person who would enjoy rebuilding a classic car or building a hot rod out of nothing would enjoy flying planes. Okay, that's my point. I'm not trying to belittle this man. It just came across wrong.
So naturally, he applies to go off to Army Air School to become a pilot, at which point he is pretty much immediately informed there's a 0% chance that he will ever get inside of a fighter plane because he's way too big. At this point in time, they only let the smaller guys be the fighter pilots, and all the bigger guys had to go work in bombers, and Jay was a big dude, well over 6 foot. So it's not exactly what he wanted, but it is the next best thing. No big deal. He goes in, does the paperwork, does the physical exam. Bad news, his eyes suck, and his vision is not good enough to become a pilot. So the entire notion of being a pilot gets shelved for now, at least.
I feel like this comes up all the time. It's like, yeah, no, they wanted to join the military, but their vision sucked. So then they just became a badass, and they couldn't stop anyways. I just like, wow, that's something. I'll have to take a look at that after, Dr. Spinner. But it's just like, why does this happen? Every American hero cheated. Yes, exactly. Keep that in mind. Nothing that became a badass just cheated on the eye exam. Right?
College continues going through the ROTC program to be an Army infantry officer.
Yeah, exactly.
And while this is going on, he's constantly researching ways to make his eyes better. And he finally comes across this crazy optometrist named Dr. Bates.
Oh,
and he has the Bates method. Basically, this method wanted to treat your eyes like they were muscles. Bates believed that glasses enabled your eyes to be lazy, so he would crush his patients' glasses and then force them to do a bunch of eye-straining exercises in hopes of building up better vision, similar to how you would lift weights to get bigger muscles. One of these exercises included staring directly into the sun. Obviously, with hindsight being 2020, this didn't work that well, and it certainly wasn't recommended, but the young Jay Zemer wanted to be a pilot so bad that he was, in fact, willing to go outside every day and attempt to beat the sun in a staring contest.
Yeah, gotta love high DM. Yeah, gotta love late 30s medical care. It's like, your eyesight's not great. You know that big ball of death that blinds people? I'm betting that if you stare into it, it will make your hair... it will make your eyes better. Oh my gosh, it's gotta work. You're watching me and Leia at the same time. Awesome. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying Leia as well. Eve me blossomed, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. DM's in here. Hi, DM. Yeah, DM, I think Alice has something to say to you and or has a crush on you. I'm not getting the vibe. I don't know. You're hearing voices. You've got ghosts in your blood. Take this heroin. You're not wrong. Your lungs are weak. Start smoking. Yeah, no, that seems to be that's kind of what it was. That's not true at all. You gotta go permablind if you do that. I know. What the heck? I don't like him colorized.
Essentially trying to give himself a caveman version of LASIK.
Fair enough,
Obviously,
Alice.
this does not improve his eyesight. If anything, it makes it better, but it does highlight just how bad this guy wanted to be a pilot. So, World War II kicks off, standards get lowered, and he gets accepted into the bombing program.
You're smoking.
And from there, he becomes the top of his class pretty much immediately. He is so good at flying.
Wait, did I just miss that? Wait, did it say it worked?
Essentially trying to give himself a caveman version of LASIK. Obviously, this does not improve his eyesight. If anything, it makes it better, but it does highlight just how bad this guy wanted to be a pilot. So, World War II kicks off, standards get lowered, and he gets accepted into the bombing program. And from there, he becomes the top of his class pretty much immediately. He is so good at flying bombers that he can actually perform fighter maneuvers inside of a bomber, which is something most pilots would never even imagine. But not only is he naturally talented at it, he also works extremely hard. He could tell every single American, German, and Japanese plane and their capabilities just by their silhouette.
Friend or foe? No, you idiots! It's a pigeon!
So Jay Zemer is hands down the best bomber pilot in training right now, and somewhere along the lines, during training, he becomes friends with the best bombardier in training.
I know, right? I mean, honestly, when you get over this, like, ethics of, like, altering human genome, like, I mean, eugenics was a thing, but you know what? Like, maybe we could find a way to do it that's not messed up, you know? One that is equally applied and is available to everyone and also doesn't involve, like, forced, like, breeding or freaking the loss of life or anything like that. There's ways we could do it, Welcome in Keystone. Thank you for the follow. Let me become a furry bunny girl. Yeah, honestly, let people become bunny girls so that I can be totally normal and cool about that. Yeah, I'd totally react really fine if I saw bunny girls in real life. I would be totally level-headed and cool about it. I would not start like screaming and flailing and drooling until I fainted into a pile of various fluids. No, of course not. No, of course not. I would never do that. No. So, science, because I'm so chill about it. So cool. Make bunny girls real, please.
Of Joe Sarnofsky. This guy is basically the Larry Bird at putting warheads on foreheads.
Welcome
they hit
and
it
see
off,
him.
they become best friends, they have a ton in common. After they graduate from school, they get separate missions, and they get separated.
Either
so
way,
early
peace. Either way.
Jay Zemer gets assigned to the 5th Air Force, and he's not happy about it, because the 5th Air Force is also referred to as the Forgotten Fifth. The reason they're called that is because they are stationed in Australia, and their job right now is to basically run a containment war
exactly,
against
Keystone.
Japan, trying to slow them down and contain
Raging
them to
lesbian
the
activities.
Pacific. And at this point in time, nobody cares about the Pacific theater. The entire world is watching the European theater as America and Great Britain fight their way through North Africa into Italy to take back France and eventually overthrow Germany. That's where the majority of the funding is going. That's where all the attention and glory is. That's the place where young, motivated men like Jay Zemer want to be.
Jay Zemer.
But that didn't happen.
Oh,
so
I hear. Okay, Moose, you're right. I keep hearing Jay Z as well. It's Jay Zemer. Jay Zemer.
Australia, he is the FNG, the fucking new guy. Nobody trusts him. He has zero street cred. Nobody wants him in their crew. Now, this is partially due to the fact that he's a new guy, and that's just how it goes for new guys.
I'm the new girl, too.
But mainly, it's because the Japanese are kind of kicking America's ass right now. It's mid-1942. America just got involved in this war. A lot of their pilots are inexperienced. A lot of their equipment's outdated. And everybody's giving all the funding to the European theater. So, it's not a great time. And you got to remember, since this is 1942, America hasn't come out with the Hellcat or the Corsair yet, meaning that America has no fighter plane capable of going toe-to-toe with the Japanese Mitsubishi Zero. So even if the bombers did have a fighter escort, they weren't capable of going toe-to-toe with the Japanese Zeros anyways, so it has never been more dangerous to be inside of a bomber, and it has never been more important to have everybody in that bomber crew as good as possible to increase everybody's chances of survival. If so facto, nobody wants to risk it on giving a new guy a shot. So it becomes apparent to Jay early on that if he ever wants to get up in the air, he's gonna have to do some gangster shit. So he goes over to the bulletin board, and on that bulletin board are the missions
that's actually really cool.
So incredibly dangerous.
It's interesting seeing, like, you can see how the companies that were around then still benefited enough that they could still exist now. Like, even no matter which side of the war they're on, they continue. Proof of disapproval in some regards here, I guess, but, like, apparently war pays, which is maybe a problem that we need to look into, if I'm being honest, just A little bit less pay for the
They
war,
are
I
volunteer
assume.
basis only, and he starts volunteering
Volkswagen,
for all
exactly.
of them, filling in any position
Porsche
where
as
he's
well.
needed. The majority of these missions would wind up being reconnaissance missions, which is where they're going to take a B-17 flying fortress, instead
Definitely
of
war
filling it
plays.
with bombs, they're going to
Exactly.
fill it with extra fuel tanks, equip it with
It's
cameras.
got what America out of the Great Depression. Like, yeah, maybe we need a little bit less pay for like we need less like a profit that he can make out of this. Porsche made the tank engines. Yeah, literally every heavy industry. Exactly. Actually, though, there's a guy on YouTube who tends to do videos on the companies and their histories. Ooh, I should look into that. VV. What's their name? Oh my gosh. Oh, is that the name? Wait, Youth Pastor Ryan. I love Youth Pastor Ryan. Yeah, no, I watch him all the time. He's awesome. No, he's really funny. I enjoy Youth Pastor Ryan, but I wasn't sure if it was him or not, so that's good to know.
Way off into enemy-held territory all by itself to hopefully get some valuable intel. Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, a single bomber flying alone in enemy-held territory is extremely
Yeah, I know.
dangerous.
He just looks like the stereotypical youth pastor. Isn't it weird? Can you imagine being so youth pastor coded? I don't know if I could handle that. Honestly, I would probably just I would do a whole bunch of things with my style to avoid looking like a youth pastor. I would get freaking neck tattoos and wear heavy mascara all the time, dye my hair jet black, put go freaking emo or something. I don't know. You'd have to do something pretty extreme to be I don't want to be a youth group. You drive girls to sin. I mean, I do all the time. Yeah. Still looks like a youth pastor. Yeah, I mean, I would love to drive girls to sin, but as of yet, 87% on the freaking Rice Purity score, so you know what? I have no proof that I've driven anyone to sin. If anything, I am free of sin, which is a problem. Girl just wants to sin. Let girls have sin. Girls just want to have sin. That was more... Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. I don't know, that was a weird jingle. If you go to church, you had one. Yeah.
And nobody is about to let their pilot or co-pilot be the brand new guy fresh out of school, so Jay just has to fill in wherever there's a gap. Over time, he winds up doing everything. He's a tail gunner, a ball gunner, a waist gunner, a navigation guy, a radio guy. He can do everything, and eventually he
If
works
pride
himself
and lust
up
are
enough
sin, then
credit
I am a
that they
sinner.
let
Me
him
too,
be
Dragon,
co-pilot
actually.
for a little while. And while he's working as a co-pilot, he figures out something very, very important. You have to remember, he's an engineer. He loves taking things apart, figuring out how they work, why they work, trying to make them better.
I do.
And
I
while
do look
he's
up at
sitting in
girls.
the co-pilot seat, he figures out how the Japanese Zeros are tackling
Welcome in, Enslow. Thank you for the follow. I hope you're having a great day. We're watching Fan Electrician.
the B17s. You have to remember, this is 1942. The
did?
B17s that they are flying
Tall-
are the
ball-turret gunner sucked?
B17Bs.
Oh, no.
They are the first generation of mass-produced B17s ever, and they have one fatal flaw, and the Japanese figured out how to exploit it. You see, the B-17s have a ton of machine guns all over them to defend themselves. They have a tail gunner, a ball gunner, a waist gunner on each side, and a turret on top. The problem is, none of those can shoot in front of the plane. The only thing the front of the plane has is two 30 caliber flex guns, which you can kind of see right here, which might as well be nothing at all when it comes to shooting down an actual plane.
That's
Later
actually insane.
generations
What
of
the heck?
B-17 would end up getting more firepower and turrets on the front to help alleviate
God.
this issue, but at this point in time, they didn't have that, so the Japanese Zeros would approach from behind.
And a lot of the B-17s were built here in Los Angeles. Oh, that's cool. But why were they so not well equipped at the front? Like, you know that people are going to be coming at you, so why not give them, like, you know, you gave guns in every other position, but then why skimp on the guns up front? That doesn't make any sense. But I'm working today, so it'll be a long night. Oh, I'm sorry that's going to be a long night, Enslau. I hope that we can be a little bit of a respite and enjoyment between then. Remember they said they were just starting out the war, so they weren't really learning at this point. But I feel like if you're thinking about where you want the guns to be the best at any point, up front is one of the best ones, right? I don't know. Because doctrine at the time, fighters had come from behind the plane. Oh, the Japanese just did it differently. I gotcha. A bomber shouldn't have to defend themselves. That's also true. My friend's house is a former anti-aircraft artillery site house built on a massive reinforced concrete slab. That's so cool. What the heck? I'd love to live in a bunker. One of my, I think it was my undergraduate degree, we had a freaking bombing raid shelter built into the campus. I don't think it was technically active, and I think at this point it's been filled up with concrete because there was something that happened with the foundation and it became a little bit unstable. But it was made during, like, I think World War II, and it was just a place you could kind of go. And you weren't supposed to go in there, but a couple of us did figure out how to jimmy the lock, and we would study in there. That was a pretty fun place to study. No one finds you if you're in there. But then, like, we actually were the ones who reported when, like, there was a big crack in the foundation out of nowhere, and then they had to fill the entire thing with concrete because it, like, it was not safe. We think it was, like, the rapid cooling and heating of Canada just, like, ended up messing with the concrete after, like, decades. Big Boy Jay, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Also, generally, when it comes to bombers, you want to bomber direct firing at the enemies that can be outmaneuvered. So it was probably an oversight. They just did not allow the guns to be shoot towards the front. That makes sense. Okay, I'll allow it. That's helpful, dears.
The machine guns past the B17 altogether, and then go and do a U-turn and approach the B17 head on and shoot it down, where the B17 had no way to defend itself. And during his time as a co-pilot, Jay Zemer caught on to this and developed a plan. Fast forward, Jay Zemer on his first mission, he finally got enough street cred, and there was finally a mission.
Wait. I just read DM said there's a lot of roads that are here are suspiciously wide. They're emergency one runways. That's still cool. Oh my gosh. They were operating off of World War I dogfighting tactics. That makes sense. Back when planes were badder and worse, and you would get frostbite from flying a plane.
Enough that they were going to let
suffocate
him be the pilot. Sure enough, a Japanese Zero shows up, does the exact same thing, passes outside the range of the guns, does a big U-turn, comes back to confront Jay's B-17 head on. As soon as the Zero gets within range, Jay takes his B-17, turns it up on a wingtip, and banks, exposing the belly of the B-17 to the Zero, forcing the Zero to go the exact opposite direction and down, putting it directly in the firing lines of both the belly gunner and the tail gunner, shooting down the Zero. And that is just one of multiple combat maneuvers that Jay has engineered inside of his head, pushing the B-17 airframe to its absolute limit. Fast forward into the mission, he lands the plane, no problem. The entire crew gets out and swears that they are never getting on a plane with Jay Zemer flying it ever again. What? And that becomes the new norm for a couple months. Jay went from the new guy that nobody trusted to fly to now he's so good, he's crazy, and we're scared to fly with him. That was until a bunch of new reinforcements showed up on the island, and among them was none other than his best friend, Larry Bird. I mean, Joe Sarnowski. So Jay and Joe start volunteering to go on a bunch of dangerous missions together. Same thing happened.
It reminds me of when they were doing a survey on bomber planes, and they ended up coming back so that they could figure out where their best weak points are armored up. And they were going up, they were armored up at specific spots, and they showed that they're absolutely shot to heck. Someone pointed out that those areas were shot up, but the plane was able to make it back. So they should armor up every other part of the area that did not get shot, because the planes that got shot in that location did not make it back. That, I remember hearing that study and seeing that, like the freaking damage map. It makes so much sense, right? Survivorship bias, exactly. No matter what, how are we doing? We don't want him. How good.
Every time
the planes were made for those moves. If you hold onto those moves, you'd throw you into the side of the planes.
On a mission. Pretty much everybody else on the plane refuses to ever go on a mission with those two ever again because they're absolutely crazy. But every once in a while, they find somebody just crazy enough to keep flying with them. And over the course of a couple months, they build up an entire air crew that starts volunteering together on every dangerous mission available, earning them the nickname the Eager Beavers. Making up the...
Oh my gosh. Yes, the U.S. interstate system to accommodate plane landings in the domestic war. Every 5 miles of curved interstate road, the road is straight for 1 mile along for the airfields for defense against domestic invasion. That's really cool, actually. I think that Canada's plan is that just we have so many fields that you can basically land anywhere, honestly. Survivorship is why bikini armor is a thing. Oh my gosh. Honestly, you're not wrong. Oh my gosh, though. Oh, that guy's mustache is terrifying. Who ever thought that this type of mustache was a good idea? Like these pencil thin mustaches, like even at the time, I don't understand. Like here's another one. It's not the same, but like I don't know why pencil thin mustaches was a thing ever. Like that shouldn't be a thing. No one should. Why is it a thing?
Team, we have Bud Thule, apparently the only man smart enough to be a navigator and crazy enough to fly with these guys. And then, of course, we have Jay Zemer as the pilot, Joe Sarnowski as the bombardier, and from there it just gets completely out of hand. Because after that, we have the radio expert,
I don't know, Spartan.
William Bond,
a.k.a. I'm gay, though, so who knows?
One of the most experienced bomber crew members in the entire...
I will admit that there might be a lesbian bias here where I'm like, okay, no, nothing. This looks bad. Because of gas masks? Why not just no facial hair? Dude on the bottom left made beard look like an Omega lips. Oh my gosh. I'm biased, so okay, that could be the difference. It could be the difference. Maybe it's attractive if you like men, but not if you don't, I guess.
U.S. military at this point that's been on countless missions, one of which his B-17 landed to refuel when his crew was ambushed by 500 Japanese soldiers.
People had no facial
They took the machine guns out of their B-17
exactly.
and proceeded
Welcome back,
to defend
Kim Bravo.
themselves in a firefight for 10 hours until the Australians showed back up. And during that 10 hours, Willie had 14 confirmed kills, 4 of which were in close quarters combat, 2 with his Colt 45 1911, and 2 with his knife. Jay Zemer said he didn't plan on getting in any knife fights at 30,000 feet, but if he did, he had Willie. Next, we have camera expert and waist gunner George Kendrick. Typically on a B-17, you're supposed to have one waist gunner on either side of the plane, but Kendrick preferred to man both sides completely by himself. When Jay Zemer asked him if he wanted to find another waist gunner for the other side, Kendrick said, and I quote, "These are my guns and I'm going to shoot all of them. I don't need to be bumping asses with another guy while I do it." The most American shit I've ever heard in my entire life.
Honestly, yeah.
Next, we have
honestly, and also, like, I'm like, I want to have 2 big guns. I want 2 big guns. Why am I infantilizing this man? I'm so sorry. No facial hair for one of my friends was impossible. His hair literally grew back so fast that even if he shaved it in the morning, he would have 5 o'clock shadow by the afternoon. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize they could grow that fast. That's impressive. Yeah, you have 2 big guns. If you got 2 big guns, you want to use them. You want to have like one for each hand, you know? You know where I can get you some really big guns? You do. Is that an innuendo that I'm too pure to realize? Is that an innuendo, DM? You getting in DMing me innuendos? For me, though, I type faster than I can talk clear enough to... I'm right that way. I do that too. Grinder? Oh, either Jim or the titties. Yep, we're in the RTC. And we got in trouble for not shaving because they let him go because he explained how fast it grew back. Oh my gosh. I can DM you into it just to check DMs. I'm sorry, Alice.
Abel, a 19-year-old farm kid that's so mechanically gifted that he is deemed more valuable as a mechanic on the ground than he is a member of a bombing crew. Despite that, he wants to be a pilot. So Jay is teaching him how to become a pilot.
I do have guns,
but in the meantime,
a PAL and a PAL.
He's the topside turret gunner.
I flex.
Next, we have the tail gunner, and he is the biggest, fastest, strongest man in the entire 5th Air Force, Herbert Pugh.
Everything's an interview to try hard enough.
Pudge. There was a couple other stragglers that came and went on a couple missions here, a couple missions there, but this was it. This was a core group of men that became best friends and went on the most dangerous bombing runs.
Next time I go through the U.S., we'll go shooting? Sure. I'm not sure if I could probably do that. My ears are very sensitive. It may be too loud for me even with the ear covers on. I'm just gonna say that. I have like clinically like hypersensitive ears, so it might not be a good idea. We'll see. You don't need firearms. I know. So we'll see. I mean, I'd be down to learn to shoot. I have nothing against that. I'm just like, will my poor little ears get too hurt? Now, modern ear protection is really good. Okay, good. I haven't tried any of the modern stuff, so I'd be down to try it, though. Yeah. I'd be down to go shooting. We could do some fun things with that. I don't know. You'd have to introduce me because I know nothing about guns. Though I do want to try a P90 if that is something that we could rent. I would love to try a P90 because Stargate. Yeah.
And reconnaissance missions that the war had to offer. Because of this, they very quickly built up an incredible reputation and became too valuable to lose. At which point, leadership doesn't let them go out on the dangerous missions anymore, and they send them out on a regular bombing run with like 10 other B-17s. And if that wasn't bad enough, they're going to make Jay and his men be the first bomber in line, which if you don't know, is the safest bomber in the entire run, because as soon as their bombs hit the ground, that's what alerts the enemy that they're even there. So when they go through, there's no enemies manning the anti-aircraft guns. So they're done and gone by the time there's any enemies returning fire. It's that 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th plane that faces the real danger, and that's just not okay with Jay and his men. So they go out on the mission just like they're ordered to, and they are the first ones to drop their bombs.
You probably think
like they make a clean getaway. They get out to open ocean, at which point Jay tells his men, get ready for a fight, because he does a U-turn, goes back in, flies over the enemy compound at 1,000 feet, while his men from the ball turret, the waist guns, and the tail guns open fire on the enemy's anti-aircraft positions on the ground, literally becoming a ground attack plane like they're an antique C-130. They were able to knock out all of the enemy spotlights and most of their anti-aircraft positions, and every single B-17 on that mission made it back home. So Jay, the eager Beavers, and all the other B-17s on this mission make it back to base completely okay, at which point Jay is treated like a hero by his commanding officers. No, I'm just kidding. You see, the commanding officers can't give themselves a bunch of medals if their men are defying orders but doing the right thing because it makes them look bad. So naturally, Jay is somehow the bad guy here. So he and the eager Beavers are all confined to quarters pending court-martial. The only reason that Jay and his entire crew were kicked out of the military right then and there was because there was a journalist in Australia with the 5th Air Force that heard the story from one of the other B17 crews, and they reported on it, writing a story that would end up getting read by a congressman that wanted it investigated, and he demanded and ordered that chain of command to give Jay, Joe, and all of his men on that air crew a silver star. So that
good. Okay. Finally, politicians doing something right. Oh no, political commentary. I'm not. That's not actually. Whatever. I'm just joking. Am I? Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. You don't know. I'm smart enough to make this joke seriously or not seriously. You can't tell which it is. But honestly, I'm so glad that like freaking reporters, like, this is why I love like good like ethical reporting just going on. It's like, yeah, no, we're gonna make sure that people get the proper praise they deserve and like are awesome like that. Like, it's good. Might want to record the shooting range so we can see the physics of the gun. Okay. I'll do it in. Hey, DM, what's the dress code at freaking a shooting range? Can I go in a bikini? Is that a thing? Is there a shooting range I can go in a bikini? Oh God. TTV, the Silver Star says that welcome in. TTV, welcome in. The Silver Star says it's better than the Bronze Star, the military term. Oh, also hello to you too. Kiss me. Yes. Wait, what? I was joking. Okay. We'll call my bluff. Let me make IRL NIKKE, apparently. Unless you want to hold brass on your boobs, I wouldn't. You almost said argon. Okay, DM. Way to call my bluff. Too bad this isn't being recorded for a YouTube video and living on the internet forever. You can probably, but you shouldn't. Okay, let's not do that. Lumi, I sent you videos of Mecha Break. Oh, on Discord. Awesome. Thank you, Crossbar. I'll take a look. Yeah, Lumi, if I DM you shooting range bikini, you have to invite me. Where would I? I don't know. We'll figure out it. Closed toes are really the only requirement. Okay, so where I'm just gonna wear shoes, no socks, and that's it. Just shoes. I'm gonna wear Crocs. And nothing else, butt naked. Let's do this thing. This is a bad idea. Who has brass scars? What are brass scars? Have you ever fired a gun before, Lumi? No. Not at all. I don't even know if I've been in a room with a gun before. Shoes and birthday suit. Shoes, no socks is a good way to get blisters. I know. Okay.
At that point, Jay and all of his men get a silver star. Leadership
burnt by hot
has
brass.
to drop the issue, but also, fuck these guys.
Oh my gosh.
We're not going to give them easy missions anymore. We're only going to give them the hardest missions we have, and if they die, they die. We don't really care anymore because they made us look bad. Which is exactly what Jay and his men wanted all along, so it all works out. All right, fast forward. Next big dangerous mission.
You shouldn't do it for your first time. That's fair.
Naval code breakers have deciphered enough messages to figure out that in the city of Rabul, there's a hotel, and the penthouse of that hotel is being used as an exclusive officers club, where they are being entertained by a bunch of geishas and getting hammered. And among those officers is rumored to be none other than Admiral Yamamoto, the leader of the entire Japanese Navy. Their mission is to fly in with a single B-17 under the cover of night, bomb that hotel, take out all the high-ranking officers, and make a clean getaway. So Jay and the crew get pulled in, they get briefed on the mission, no big deal, everybody's gonna go off to bed, they got a big day tomorrow. Everybody except for Joe Sarnofsky. He stays up all night long studying the map of the city of Rabul.
Okay.
Nobody knows
didn't get far because it was wearing plate carrier. Good.
They go to bed. Joe stays up. Fast forward the next day, they take off on their mission. Jay flies them all the way there, gets them real close to the hotel. TTV, but at which point, Jay can actually send the controls of the plane over to Joe Sarnofsky in the bomb bay, so Joe can control the plane and really line up the shot that he wants with this bomb. So Jay sends the controls over to Joe. Joe opens the bomb doors and veers way off course, miles and miles off course, like 10 miles off course. Joe steers this plane, essentially blind, driving the plane just from what he can see outside of the bomb bay. And then, before anybody even knows what's happening, Joe just says, bombs away, drops the bombs on a seemingly random location, and sends the controls back over to Jay. Everyone is completely confused. Nobody knows what's going on.
Is it dealing with
the
wind?
Bombs make impact, and there is a humongous explosion, way bigger than this 500-pound bomb.
Oh no!
Joe had just hit a major ammunition
I thought
the
so!
entire Japanese Navy, and his single bomb set off a chain reaction, blowing up the entire facility. Come to find out, Joe Sarnofsky didn't feel right about killing innocent geisha girls, and he decided that he was going to find a target that was just as, if not more valuable than the Officers Club.
Based! Good! Yes! Don't kill innocent women. Just because of this. Don't kill innocent women, please. Honestly, I was like, my brain hadn't fully clocked that. I think my brain was just like, no, that's too horrifying. It can't be right. It can't be right. It's just the military officials. There's no geisha girls there, right? No, that's good. But my aunt has a permanent 45 shell burned into her boob. It's kind of hot, not gonna lie. Or just don't kill innocent people in general. I agree. Honestly, you know what? That's fair, Amuse-Bouche. I don't know. I'm just like, the fact that it's specifically geisha girls here, I'm like, they're just performing. Just don't hurt them. But like, yeah, don't kill innocent people. Don't kill innocent people. I love that. You know what? There's a very, yeah, exactly. Mine said it was very rare back then. Yeah, these guys are the true definition of heroes. Honestly, men said I won't kill innocent, but I will blow up their ammo.
And blow that up instead. So they make it back to base, tell leadership everything that happened, and leadership is absolutely furious that they decided to do their own thing instead. They interrogate the entire crew, but nobody is ratting on Joe Sarnofsky.
Yeah, something, didn't you, Jerry? I did not say nothing, man. Why you always... I did. Told him I'm banging your wife.
So as a punishment, they're ordered to do the mission again, and this time do it right. But that is essentially a death sentence, because now they know that the Americans are bombing the city, and they're going to be on high alert. So they're just going to do it anyways, and I think leadership was actually trying to get them killed, but it's not really going to work out that way. So
freaking leadership sucks, apparently.
Joe Sarnofsky stays up all night again, studying the map of the city of Raboul. And yet again, the same exact thing happens. Jay gets them all the way there completely undetected, sends the controls of the plane over to Joe. Joe opens the bomb bay, veers way off course, miles and miles off course, bombs a seemingly random location, and there is an even bigger explosion than the day before.
No!
It is an enormous explosion. Jay had just taken out a major fuel depot again for the entire Japanese Navy. They make their way back to base, at which point they are effectively grounded, and leadership will never give them a B-17 to fly again because they refuse to follow orders. And they are given absolutely no credit for single-handedly bombing major fuel and ammunition depots in the city of Raboul. All right, so leadership
arguably better.
They're not going to let Jay and the Eager Beavers fly any more of the good B-17s, which sucks because at that point there's really nothing that they can do unless they plan on building their own airplane. Which is exactly what they do. So Jay and the Beavers go out to the boneyard, and the boneyard is not just where planes go to die. They go there to be cannibalized for any good parts they may have left to keep all the other planes
can't wait to see where they built.
And what they come across is what used to be a B-17. It has been stripped of every usable part and is covered in bullet holes, and there is no way that...
Oh, thank you for the subscription, Captain.
Captain Boblinth Goblin just.
Goblin. Thank you, Captain Boblinth Goblin. Welcome in. Thank you for the subscription. Good soldiers follow orders. Great soldiers do what's right. I agree, Logan. I agree. I agree.
This thing is gonna fly. The only identifying characteristics of this plane at all was the faded word Lucy up on the front and the tail number 2666, which would later bring about its nickname, Old 666. So now they have a plane, they just need to fix it, a seemingly impossible
the Japanese really couldn't have afford to have that loss. They needed all that ammo and fuel. Yeah, honestly, like, killing a couple of generals is less important than making so that their generals can't order them to do anything. Like, just because your generals are there and alive, they're like, okay, go in and invade that place. But our planes don't have fuel, our cars don't have fuel, and we have no bullets to shoot with. Do you want us to walk there for a couple of years and then slap them when we get there? We can do that. I don't know. Yeah, 666 and Lucy, as in Lucifer, it was probably. It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter how effective the general is if there's nothing to fight with, right? But I know it was 266, but it was like old 666. So it was Lucy 666. Lucifer.
They have Jay Zemer, the engineer, and Johnny Abel, the 19-year-old mechanical prodigy, that set forward restoring this plane, while everybody else on the crew goes out and steals all the parts they need to do it. I mean, strategically transfers equipment to an alternate location. Some of the equipment that the Eager Beavers managed to acquire included 4 new Cyclone engines, radio equipment, camera equipment, and 19 50 caliber machine guns. Right off the bat, we have a problem, because right around the time that the Beavers start finding all of this amazing equipment, a bunch of other air crews seemingly have lost a bunch of their amazing equipment. So a bunch of them are going to go back and try to steal it off of old 666, at which point the only logical solution is for the entire crew to start living on old 666 while they restore it all day and all night and
Oh my
spread the word
gosh.
that the 50 caliber machine guns are loaded, and if that doesn't work, you get to fight Willie about it. At this point, leadership has
Yeah.
completely lost control of the situation. Everybody's calling Jay Zemer and the Eager Beavers pirates, renegades.
Yes!
Everybody's looking at leadership to stop
Pirates!
them. At which point, leadership is kind of like, fuck, I think they might be talking to me too, and I don't want to fight Willie, so we're all just going to look the other way. Like we talked about earlier in the video, there's not
They
much
don't wanna fight
firepower at
Willie.
the front of a B17. So they take a 50 caliber machine gun, mount it
Yes.
right on the nose cone, and they line
Oh.
it up with the rivet line going down the center of the cab.
Oh.
And they rig it up so that there's a button inside the cockpit for Jay Zemer to hit to be able to fire the 50 caliber machine
Perfect.
gun. So all he has to do is aim the rivet line at the enemy and fire. He
I
calls
love
it
this.
his schnozzler gun.
His
Then
schnozzler
the other 30 caliber guns
Schnozzler gun is wild! Oh my gosh, because it's on the nose, it's his Schnozzler gun. That is so perfect. I love these people. This is the best. This is the best story. I just love welcome in Swarmlord, welcome in. I love this, like, the idea of just like, okay, well, we're gonna be awesome about this all the time, or we're gonna like be awesome at this, and then when they punish us, we're gonna go and build our own plane, and it's gonna be better than your plane. It's gonna have a Schnozzler gun. I'm like, perfect. Schnozzler gun, that's what I call my well, it shouldn't be your schnoz, but you know, whatever. You know what? Whatever. I mean, if your blind kid's on your schnoz, then that's a different problem, Alice. That's a different problem. Schnozzler gun, I love it so much.
on the front of the B17 are replaced with 50 cals. The navigator
Welcome
compartment.
in, Mathel Helldoom. Hi from YouTube, finally popping my cherry to my first stream with you, love. Are MILFs welcome here? Oh, yes, MILFs are more than welcome here. Yes, yes, indeed, I love me a good MILF. Trust me, I adore them. Welcome in, Helldoom. I hope you're having a lovely day. I'm sorry about mispronouncing your name. I'm having trouble reading the first part. I have extreme dyslexia, so I struggle sometimes, but I appreciate having another MILF here. Or maybe the first. I don't know how many MILFs are in chat. Who knows? Kind of looks like when Alice says no. I don't know. Slime Red Girl, no one can stop the Eager Beavers from doing what they love, and that's beavers. Aw, you said it right. I did. Aw, I'm glad. Well, welcome in. I hope you're having a lovely day. And welcome in. Sorry, my brain is bad. I say the same things repeatedly. But I'm really glad that you found your way in here and popped your cherry with me. We're watching Fat Electrician right now. It's really funny. It's really good too. It's very informative. I like history, and I'm enjoying it. I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it, Helldoom.
Usually had one 30 caliber machine gun. Now it's going to have dual 50s. Then the seat for the radio guy, who typically never
Shut
even
up,
had a
Moose
gun.
Boosh.
Oh well.
Shut up! My brand is bad, yes. Sweet can change that. Only Cherry Lumi is popped. Ah! Just because my rice purity score is 87% doesn't mean anything to you, okay? Okay. Yeah, go follow my friend Sweet Frequency. She's hot.
We're gonna cut
That's
a
my
hole
plug.
in the plane
She's
and
awesome.
give him
She's
two
I love her.
50
She's
caliber
great.
machine guns as well.
But,
then
you
we
know,
get to George Kendrick's area, the waist guns.
Great plug, right?
Typically, there's one 50 caliber on each side.
Double it!
Now we're getting dual 50s on each side, and because that's not enough, we're also going to cut another hole in the bottom of the plane and give him dual 50s there as well. That way,
What?
when Jay banks up in front of the zero, not only can the ball turret gunner hit the zero, Kendrick is also going to be able
Kuma Bear, welcome in.
Great job.
Old_Kuma Bear
Oh!
cheered X 1000. Great
Aw,
job.
thank you. I need to fix that. But thank you so much. Great job indeed. I popped a cherry. Ah! Turbo Virgin indeed. Turbo Virgin indeed.
to hit the zero as well. Then, in case any of the guns
Uh-huh.
malfunction, they have 3 extra 50 caliber machine guns strapped down on the inside of the plane.
What?
Old 666 now has more than double the firepower of any other B-17
Oh my
in the
gosh.
Pacific Theater, and after shedding
If
over
you have Fly
2,000
Fortress, you're
pounds,
right.
it is also the fastest. But all that firepower isn't going to be worth a whole lot if
It's
they
the
don't know how to
fastest.
use it. So Jay and Johnny continue working on the plane while everybody else is sent out to go train and become experts on the M2 50 caliber machine gun. The Beavers get to the point where every single member of the crew can assemble and disassemble the M2 Browning in under a minute while blindfolded. Joe and Jay also make
What?
the rule that every gunner inside of their aircraft has to link their own ammunition belts, and they're going to change up how they do ammunition. You see, at this point,
Yeah.
a B-17 50 caliber machine gun had an ammo link that went armor piercing round, incendiary round, tracer. If you don't know, a tracer is like the little one that looks like a laser beam coming out from Star Wars. They do that so that you can tell where your fire is going and so that your friends can see where your fire is going. They start making their ammunition so it's armor-piercing round, tracer round. And they do this for psychological warfare because when you're shooting every other round as a tracer round out of a machine gun, it is going to look like old 666 is something out of Star Wars, straight up shooting laser beams at the enemy.
That's insane.
So they finish up the plane and they start volunteering for every single dangerous mission that they can find. They volunteer for so many missions so often that they never actually got an opportunity to finish the nose art on the plane like you see all the other bombers have in the movies and in the old pictures. And that's why the plane never got a cooler nickname other than its tail number, Old 666. Now, most of these missions, just like before a recon, it is Jay, the Eager Beavers, and Old 666 going up into enemy territory completely by themselves.
This is so cool.
And every single time they come into enemy zeros, they light them up. The new machine guns are incredible, and Old 666 is the aerial equivalent of George Foreman on his second title run. He's big, he's fat, he's got terrible gas mileage, but if you're going to stand in the pocket and trade with them, you're probably going to get put in the ground. Allegedly, with the combination of increased speed, increased firepower, Jay's piloting tactics, and the entire crew's newfound machine gun proficiency, they were shooting down so many enemies that it became unbelievable.
Oh,
So
hi,
the crew came
Zapdos
back-
Goddess. Welcome in. I've seen you react to the Chaotic Barbarian. Welcome in, though. I hope you're having a great day, Zapdos Goddess. I love Pokemon, by the way, so, you know, great name. I'm a fat electrician, so I hope you enjoy that, too. Well, you popped a type of cherry. You aren't a virgin anymore. Congratulations! Technically a W. Technically a W is still a W, I guess. Thank you. I'm really glad, Heldu. Zapdos, I'm good. I've been working for 2 weeks. Oh my, I've been working out for 2 weeks. That's awesome. I love working out. It's so much fun. Old 66 is a big fucking plane. Just looked it up. Technically, correct, the best kind of correct indeed. I love it.
And people started doubting them. So they're like, fine, we're just going to rig up the cameras to turn on every time we start firing machine
my
guns.
Wi-Fi's down. Oh, I'm
that
sorry,
way,
Alice.
we film us shooting down the enemy fighters. Which is the most world star shit I've ever heard in my entire life. They were literally kicking so much ass that to get people to believe them, they had to prematurely invent the GoPro 70 years ahead of time. The beatings continued for a little while. Old 666, the Eager Beavers, and Jay Zemer built up this enormous reputation. And eventually, leadership would approach Jay with the most dangerous mission he'd ever heard of. All right, so here's a mission. The Marines are going to make a 40,000-man amphibious landing in Bougainville. But before they do that, they wanted to get aerial footage over the coastline because they wanted to find out where all the reefs were so the Marine Corps didn't get caught up on the reefs with their amphibious landing vehicles. The problem with that is the only way to get enough high definition in that footage to be able to see reefs that are underwater is to use a trimetragon camera setup, which is 3 cameras where they merge all the footage together. And the only way to actually film this and make it work is to fly in a perfectly straight line under perfect weather conditions, and they can't move the plane at all. Even a single degree of tilt would ruin the entire thing. And in order to film this coastline, they're going to have to do that for 22 minutes straight in enemy territory, and that enemy territory may or may not have enemy fighters and anti-aircraft guns on the coast. And if there's anti-aircraft guns on the coast, it's pretty much game over, because again, they have to fly in a perfectly straight line for 22 minutes straight in broad fucking daylight. The worst gunner on the planet has enough time to get dialed in and shoot them down. And that's assuming they even make it to the coastline, because Bougainville is 600 miles into enemy-held territory. Because of this, the leadership only approached Jay with this mission because they were just hoping that he would pilot it. They never in their wildest dreams imagined that his entire crew would volunteer to go on this mission because it had such a low chance of survival. Despite that, after being briefed on the entire thing, Jay rushes over to the barracks where the Beavers are, briefs them on the entire thing, and he's like, look, I'm calculating there's like a 10% chance that we survive this. I don't expect any of you to go with me. I don't blame you if you don't in any way, but if you do want to volunteer, there's nobody I would rather have up there with me than you guys. At which point, every single one of the Eager Beavers stands up, and they're going with him.
Leave it to the Beavers.
Later on, when we
okay, this is the most insane plan that like, the fact that they want to do this, like, I mean, my thought would be like maybe do a bombing run first to take and then send 4 bombers and like a fleet of like fighters to protect, and then they take the photos, because like I don't know, like I can't believe the Beavers are on full display. I just like this is like the most silly. I mean, I understand why they need these images, but I can't. It doesn't make sense that they're like, oh yeah, this is something that's doable. Like, yeah, we're definitely this is something that could happen, but I know why you need it. Zapdos, I formed 3 separate strength training exercises, 2 cardio on each time in the morning, afternoon. That's ooh, and everything cuts ADHD. I get that, Zapdos. Trust me, I do that. That's something that's similar to what I do. 600 miles into enemy airspace, so the plane is less noticeable. Sending a bombing raid would alert the enemy. That's fair, but like, I can't believe the Beavers are going to be exposed like that. Like, I don't know. If night vision cameras were a thing, at least. Like, I don't know. Figure that out. I'm also wondering if maybe like a nighttime run with like a spotlight, so they could just have it directly on the reef that they're flying over, so that it'd be harder to you couldn't see that from the sides, so it might actually be safer. I don't know. It's why the nuclear bombing in Japan worked. The Japanese didn't react to a lone bomber because they thought it was weather recon plane. Oh, interesting. Oh, Zapdos, if that command's not working, it's in the pinned comment. Discord's in the pinned comment. Otherwise, can someone copy and paste it for her? Moosefish, I think a straight starlight scopes were a new hotness at the time. I can see that. I can see this. I'm loving this. Me too, Leona.
Telling this story, one of the Beavers is quoted as saying, "We thought so much of Captain Zemer and his abilities that we didn't give a damn where we went, just so long as he wanted to go there. Anything okay by him was okay by us." Jay then runs back over to the colonel that had just briefed him. As he is pinning the volunteer slip onto the board to collect volunteers for this mission, Jay grabs a paper, crumples it up, says that him and the eager Beavers are going to take the mission on one condition. He does it how he wants to do it, and they have no further input. He will get the mission done. At which point the colonel agrees,
Beavers some wood.
and it's settled. The only thing to do now is to get prepared for the
question.
mission and wait for Army meteorologists to tell them that they're going to have a day clear enough to actually pull this off. It's monsoon season, a couple of weeks go by, and then finally they get word from the Army weather guys, hey, tomorrow's the day the weather's going to break, you can get this mission done. So they all get prepped and they take off first thing in the morning when it's still dark.
With these friends, you would never be alone.
So they take off, they're making their way over to Bougainville, they get like halfway there, it's still dark out, everything's
That'd be really
going
nice,
great,
honestly.
and leadership radios over to Jay and they're like,
hey,
a lot of respect.
by the way,
a lot of respect
extra credit, it would be pretty cool if you could pop up to the top of the island and film Buka Passage as well. We don't need Trimetragon footage, just normal footage would work. You can do it while it's still kind of dusk out. If you can get that done too, that'd be
Zoe.
great.
At which point Jay is like, no,
yeah.
I don't need extra credit during this extremely dangerous mission. That wasn't what we agreed to.
B17s are just
that.
so
Then
pretty.
they're
They
like,
do
well,
look like the
too
image I've
bad
seen here.
it's in order.
To which he just like hangs up on the guy. He doesn't really care. He's going to do what he wants anyways because that's been his MO the entire time.
Honestly,
okay, fast
yes.
forward. They get all the way to
Honestly, yeah.
Bougainville. It's still too
that's
dark
based.
out for them to start
Hi,
filming
Silver.
this Trimetragon footage. So Jay asks the
in.
crew and he's like, look, I can do a U-turn. We can fly 15 minutes out over the open ocean, do another U-turn, come back. That'll be half an hour. That should be bright enough by then. Or we could fly like 45 minutes north, film Buka Passage, and then come back and do this after. And the crew is like, whatever, I don't care. So they go.
Too bad it's an order, the military in a nutshell. Yep.
It is now broad daylight, so they start
you
filming
slept
their
in?
Trimetragon footage.
Aww.
They get 5 minutes
Miss
into
class.
the 22-minute
I'm sorry you
run,
slept in, Zoe,
and
but I
they
hope you
come
slept
up
well.
on a Japanese airstrip. And on that airstrip is over 20 Japanese Zeros, and he can see men running out to the planes to come get him. Now, Jay doesn't realize it at this point,
I don't
but
know what
these
you mean,
weren't just
Silver.
normal Japanese Zeros. This was one of the best fighter squadrons that Japan had that was specifically brought in to go take out Admiral Halsey. And in this squadron, they had 2 aces with a combined over 30 confirmed air-to-air kills. And even if this wasn't a specialized badass fighter squadron,
It's allowed-
20 on
okay,
1
that's
is still
fair, Zoe.
completely undoable. They'd gone up against 5, 6, 7 Zeros. They'd never gone up against
glad
10,
that's not gonna be
let
trouble.
alone 20 plus. It's at this moment that Jay has to make a decision because he knows that by the time all the Japanese Zeros get up in the sky, get in their formation, and actually attack him, he's going to have just enough time to finish this camera run. However, then he's going to have to fight his way out, which is probably a death sentence. Or he could cut and run right now.
Hey, this
and
is
he's
a
almost
bonus.
guaranteed
Oh, you don't need a bonus? Too bad. It's a new out order. Shitty bosses, old tale. I know, right? Oh my gosh, I've had bosses like that too.
to be able to get away with a 20-minute
Oh my
head start.
gosh.
He's taken a second to weigh his options and really think about it, and he's just about ready to cut and run, and he looks down at the
I'm
water
so sorry,
and he can just
Zoe.
see all these
I'm
reefs
so sorry. I know what
just
that's
right
like.
below the water, and he just envisions 40,000 Marines and their amphibious landing vehicles hung up on these reefs, getting cut down by enemy defenses and machine gun fire, and he decides that he's going to risk it to try to save these guys. And for the next 17 minutes, the crew gets ready for a fight as Jay keeps the plane completely straight and level in broad daylight as all the Zeros get up in the air to come get them. Fast
Oh,
forward
God.
17 minutes later, 24 Japanese Zeros have caught up to them, and they are trailing just behind 666 out of machine gun range.
Okay.
Right as George Kendrick comes over the radio and says, give me
Okay.
30 more seconds, 3 Zeros pass along the outside, do their U-turn to begin their attack run against 666. Then George Kendrick radios again that he has the film done. At this point, it's too late for Jay to do his normal evasive maneuver where he plays chicken with one of the Zeros.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he just lines up the nose of the plane and his schnozzler gun with the lead Zero shooting it down. Joe Sarnofsky down below inside the nose cone manning those guns manages to shoot down one of the other Zeros, and the third and final Zero was able to riddle the cockpit with 20mm cannon fire. This fatally wounds both Jay Zemer and Joe Sarnofsky, takes out all the navigation equipment for the plane as well as the entire
Fatally
oxygen
wounds them.
system.
Hi,
Jay
Megan.
Zemer is now slowly bleeding out inside of this cockpit with no way of knowing where he has this plane headed other than instinct and a compass that he's holding in his hand, and he has about 30 seconds of oxygen left before the entire crew passes out from hypoxia. And the remaining Japanese Zeros all now know that this is not a normal B-17. Their typical tactics aren't going to work, and they just begin swarming every direction they can, firing from all angles.
Oh, gosh.
Jay immediately puts the plane into a nosedive, desperately trying
Yeah,
to
this
get
man
below
can tell a story.
10,000
Holy
feet
crap.
so him and his men can breathe with the oxygen system down. He drops 15,000 feet in just under 30 seconds. That is over 3 miles
Yeah.
in 30 seconds. This
Oh
plane
my
drops
gosh, the
before Jay
G's.
pulls it back up, and he estimates that they're at 8,000 feet. He doesn't actually know because the altimeter is broken, and the only way he can tell the altitude that they're at is because he's such a good pilot, he can look at the pressure gauge for the engine manifolds and be able to tell. At this point, the entire
He zeroed in on the
situation devolves
bomber.
into an all-out chaotic dogfight. Jay, while still bleeding out, is pulling off combat maneuvers inside of a B-17 that most pilots would never even attempt.
I'm doing
and his
good, Megan.
crew
How are you?
Instinctively
I'm
knows
having
how he
fun.
pilots that they are able to pick off these Japanese Zeros one by one. Your average dogfight at this point in time lasted for less than a minute, and this dogfight would drag out for over 45 minutes. And the
Holy
entire time,
crap.
Jay Zemer is losing more and more blood and more control of the plane, because
Oh,
at
God.
some point both rudders would become damaged, and he would no longer be able
Hi,
to
eventually,
actually
we're
turn-
watching the infamous Eager Beavers and their custom B-17 bomber, the old 666. See you soon, Leona. It's really cool. We're almost done. I'm just enthralled,
But
honestly.
he's such an incredible pilot that he begins individually throttling all 4 motors, throttling one side up and the other side down, turning the plane that way. Throughout the course of this firefight, the Eager Beavers shoot down and completely destroy 5 Japanese Zeros, critically damage and send back a bunch of other ones. And by the end of this firefight, there's 5 or 6 left, fully functional
Holy
and
crap.
coming to get them, and they are almost
Hi,
out
Savage.
of ammunition. And right as it looks like this is going to be the end,
No.
the Zeros peel off and do a U-turn as they have to go
Oh.
back because they've ran out of fuel. At this point, Jay Zemer passes out and the co-pilot is finally allowed to take over the aircraft, something that Jay Zemer refused to let him do in the heat of the fight. For the entire
Yeah.
flight back, Jay is coming
I'm glad
in
you're
and out of
peachy again,
consciousness,
Megan.
and the
Doing
last
some
thing he
Genshin?
remembers
Awesome.
is them landing and the ground
doing
crew
good, Savage.
rushing in as he hears the medics say, "Get the pilot last, he's already dead." He would wake up in the hospital days later to find out that he had lost over half the blood in his entire body. But the intel that they had gathered was going to be used to launch Operation Cartwheel, a highly successful Allied offensive that military planners credited that success to the intel that Jay Zemer and the
Also,
Eager
the
Beavers had gathered. Because
Also, you have to imagine that project like that Operation Cartwheel had like significantly less planes in the air over top of them. Honestly, I'm pretty sure that the air support for the Japanese was probably a lot less intense, considering they burned down most of their fleet. You know.
because of this, both
Like
Jay
what?
Zemer and Joe Sarnofsky were
I'll
to
let
receive the
Folk
Medal
again.
of Honor. Unfortunately,
Made some characters and I'm pretty excited. Oh my gosh, I'm really glad you got some characters excited about. It's an absolute fucking unit, honestly.
Joe would have to
honestly.
receive his posthumously. According to the accounts of the rest of the crew, he was struck by a 20mm round during the first engagement. Despite that, he still managed to man the machine guns at the front of the B-17, shooting down an additional 2 Japanese Zeros before succumbing to his wounds. As for the rest of the Eager Beavers,
Silent
4 of them
bitch.
sustained injuries, but they all survived, and all of them were awarded the Distinguished Service Cross for this mission, making this the most decorated air crew in U.S. military history,
Yeah.
and making this the most decorated mission in U.S. history.
I can
According
see
to
why.
the official Japanese reports, this story is highly exaggerated because according to them, they only sent up 7 Zeros to intercept Old 666, and none of them were shot down. However, when you take into account the verifiable fact that Old 666 was hit with 5 20mm cannon rounds and sustained over 187 bullet holes, and the crew depleted all of their ammunition. Literally thousands of pounds of 50 caliber rounds. It kind of sounds like the Japanese official
Japanese
reports are
Yeah.
fucking lying so that they don't look
You're right,
bad.
Lil.
In conclusion, now you know the story of Jay Zemer and the Eager Beavers,
I don't know how to
a bunch of
vocalize,
young men that blurred the
quotation
lines
marks.
between bravery and insanity that ultimately were deemed so reckless that the government wouldn't give them a B-17.
Yeah,
to
no,
fly.
honestly, you're
So
right,
they
a
built
BB.
their own and became the most decorated air crew in American history. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out.
That was so cool. I absolutely love that. I honestly, it's not just an underdog story, but it's like it's just people being cool and using their talents to the extreme. Like people recognizing their own gifts and deciding like, you know what? I'm gonna do as much as I can with this. I'm gonna figure out exactly what I need to do, find the path forward, and I'm gonna make it work. It doesn't matter what gets put in my way. And that is inspiring and really cool. It was a horrible situation for them to have to find their talents in, but I'm glad that they found their talents and made it work. There's an after credit scene.
Cut out all the...
Oh.
That was a long video this time around. When you're editing this one in post-op, just cut out all the parts where I got teary-eyed. Those weren't emotions.
Aww.
My office is infested with onion-cutting ninjas.
God, I love onions. Well, if you're watching this on YouTube as a YouTube video that I posted, head on over to twitch.tv/LuminusRed and drop me a follow. Also, make sure to go support The Fat Electrician in every way that you possibly can. Use his product codes, do all that thing, like, comment, subscribe on him. Go enjoy other videos. Until next time, my lovely lust stars, bye.